Welcome back to Open BXRx. The COVID-19 pandemic has raised many immigration concerns from travel bans and advisories to embassy, consulate, United States Citizenship, and Immigration Service office closures. However, help is still available remotely for those with immigration concerns. CUNY Citizenship Now has been providing free, high-quality, confidential citizenship and immigration law services to help immigrants on their path to U.S. citizenship since 1997. Joining us now to tell us more is Stephanie Delia, Managing Attorney of City Council Services at CUNY Citizenship Now. Welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Just to start off, can we just learn about CUNY Citizenship Now?
Absolutely. So, Citizenship Now is one of the largest per se university-based legal assistance programs. As you mentioned, we have been in existence since 1997. We have 6 full-time centers, and by full-time centers, I mean these are um, immigration offices that are based in CUNY campuses. We have one in York, for example, one in Medgar Evers, and there's 4 others scattered throughout the 5 boroughs. Those offices are open 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, approximately 9 to 5. In addition to that, we also have the program that I manage, which is the City Council Services Program. We are in approximately 40 council member offices. We refer to those as our part-time locations. We provide services out of those locations roughly about once, twice, or 3 times a week, depending on the need in that particular community. We assist approximately 1,500 people a year. The number fluctuates depending on what is going on in the immigration world. We do one-on-one services. So one legal service provider actually goes to the location. That person is the same one who's going to go every single week. And that person basically assists with providing consultations and application assistance. The people who come to us for services are seeing the same people every time they return to the offices. In addition to all of that, we also do large group immigration application assistance. The most popular one we do is citizenship applications. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we have had to halt those. We cannot wait to start those again. But when those were being done, we used to do those twice a month. Um, I apologize. Let me take a step back. Every single service I've mentioned have been halted. So the full-time centers are currently closed for in-person services, and the city council member program is not providing in-person services. However, those 2 programs are doing remote services right now. The large application assistance services, we've just completely stopped. We're not doing those remotely. We are considering or thinking about ways we might be able to assist a large group of people remotely, but we're still working through that. Um, in addition, we also partner with a few organizations to provide civics classes and workshops, and we do approximately 20 community-based events. So those things are what has been halted.
From my understanding, some of the services have been completely halted from what you just said. However, CUNY Citizenship Now is still providing these services remotely over the phone and by the web. What are some of the resources and services that people with immigration concerns can receive now remotely?
Right now, we're still assisting with consultations over the phone, which we're doing consultations on all immigration matters. We are doing remote application assistance for citizenship applications, TPS, DACA, and green card renewals. Technically speaking, we are open to assisting with other types of applications remotely. However, due to the nature of those types of applications, we have found that most of the forms that we actually will be able to assist someone in completing remotely is actually going to be the ones I just mentioned. The way we do that is we do the consultation, we make sure they're eligible, we forward them all the forms and the data they need to provide us. We enter the data electronically, we email them a copy to make sure they confirm that everything is accurate. And then, we basically, under some circumstances, do electronic signatures. Otherwise, the person themselves receives it, signs it, and sends it out. So right now, the best way to contact us, and I'll be sharing those numbers with you later, is to call, text, or email. Calling and texting is better. If you call, you will very much be leaving a voicemail, and we'll contact you right back. The call center is accessing those voicemails and responding. In addition, if you send a text, we receive that too. We do not advise with email just because we are inundated with emails. And if you need an appointment, there is a specific phone number intended for that.
Stephanie, can you just tell us about some growing immigration concerns during COVID-19? Aside from the USCIS office being closed, I know plenty of people had concerns over, the closing of these offices and getting their naturalization.
So, a few things. One, because these offices are closed, even though you can still submit your naturalization application, if your application is in the nature, is the type that requires certain types of supporting documentation, that may be difficult for you to do right now. So, for example, if you have an arrest, but you're not, you're still eligible to become a citizen and it's a minor issue, but it is in fact an arrest, you're going to have to submit a copy of the certificate of disposition. Because the courts are closed, unfortunately, you might not be able to get it right now. We are looking at ways to get those. It might be possible for some people, but we're still kind of testing that process. Um, so that's specifically for citizenship. Green cards are not as difficult to get the supporting documents, but for those who do not have the technology as easily accessible and who aren't as tech savvy, it's also going to be difficult because all of the immigration service providers are no longer providing in-person services. So the only way to really get any application done is if you have if you're tech savvy enough so that you can do everything online. I'm not sure if anyone is mailing out forms and asking people to complete them and mail them back, but I do think that might be a little bit dangerous right now. We have decided not to exchange paper with people. And so, in order to just stay as safe as humanly possible. That's just in regards to citizenship. Do you want me to go into the other types of applications and the complications, or do you want to focus on
Yes,
citizenship?
yes, we should learn about the other applications as well, just in case, a viewer is concerned about those others.
Okay, so a couple of things that I think is important to keep in mind is right before COVID-19 pandemic um, happened, public charge rules changed. The new rules went into effect in February of 2020. And what that rule did is it made it more difficult for low income individuals to qualify for the green card. So you keep that in mind that as of February, the standards change and the government now requires more documentation. They also require higher income. They also require that people have stronger connections to their joint support. I'm sorry, to their to the person who's providing a financial support. So a lot of the beneficiaries, i.e., the person who's applying for the green card, who may have had some income that would have, helped the application look stronger, because of COVID-19, may have lost their job. Consequently, they've lost that income, and so that might actually affect their ability to qualify for the green card. That applies to anyone in the household who's losing any income, whose income would have been used to help the beneficiary get the green card. Unfortunately, if somebody who is applying for a green card gets sick, my fear is that they might be afraid to go to the hospital out of concerns that they might be using Medicaid, or maybe they're afraid that being exposed might be a problem. Um, if a petitioner becomes infected and passes away, depending on where the application is, that may have some negative effects. It also would have negative effects if the person who is the beneficiary is still abroad. So if your parent is applying to give you a green card and you're a young child and you're living abroad, it complicates the matter and might, in some circumstances, make it impossible for you to actually come. If you're already here, it definitely complicates it, but you also have more options, thank goodness. Um, and the other part is that the beneficiaries who are stuck abroad, who already were either close to being approved or were approved when the borders were shut down, and whose family members may potentially now be sick in the US and who can't get to them. So those are some of I think, the most common. There's a gazillion others that I'm sure I didn't mention, but I feel like these concerns might be um, some of the most common issues that we're going to see. One last thing. If somebody goes out of status right now, they're also in a very peculiar position. So let's say, your TPS well, not TPS, but let's say your DACA is expiring and you're trying to renew it, or going to be out of status for, let's say it expired a while ago and your plan was to just apply for the green card, there's a rule that says if you don't have status, if you're undocumented for 6 months or more, depending on how you're getting the green card, it may make that process more difficult. And under some circumstances, you might no longer be eligible to get the green card in the US. Very complicated rule, but the bottom line is anybody who's losing status during this time, we're going to have to hope that the government takes to account the pandemic and allow them some kind of path, but we can't be sure as of now. Oh, one last thing. Sorry. Interviews are not happening for the green card. So a lot of people who are undocumented and are waiting for the interview process, they're basically going to continue to remain in an undocumented state. And this is very scary as is. So considering being afraid of family getting ill, you getting ill, and now being worried that even though you have a path to the green card, you might not get access to it at a time that you feel like you need it the most, is also an issue. And the last thing is asylum. Some applications are time sensitive. So let's say you come into the country, you have approximately a year to apply for asylum. If that year period happens during the pandemic, even though you can submit the form technically, the attorneys who would be able to assist you won't have access to you. And these forms are not the type of applications that a person can typically do on their own. So that's also a huge issue. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No, that was very helpful information, and I really hope that there's help for these all these concerns that you brought up. A lot of us didn't know about all of this. Can you also tell us about the free online civic classes for green card holders by the New York Historical Society in partnership with CUNY Citizenship now?
Yes, some good news. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to discuss that, especially after all the grim stuff I've just shared with you. So, the New York Historical Society is temporarily closed and they're not doing in person classes like they used to do. However, they've moved their classes to online. So, they do it via video conferencing. And the courses are still completely free for green card holders who are applying for citizenship. I will share the details with you, but in essence, the website is www.newyorkhistory.org/education/citizenship project. There's also a couple of phone numbers. You can call either 311, but in addition, you can call them directly at 212-873-3400, extension 511. Do not try to memorize that. I will send it to you.
Thank you. I was just typing it. So before we go, Stephanie, can you just tell us about the importance of using this time and to get these services and resources at this time while we're on lockdown?
Yes, this is crucial. So one of the things that CUNY Citizenship now is trying to do is encourage people to submit the types of applications that they can now. Because when we go back to in-person services, we anticipate we're going to have to focus on a lot of time-sensitive applications. We're probably going to be helping people respond to a bunch of issues that arose during the pandemic. We'll probably be trying to assess how these closures of these ports affect the applications that were already pending. Um, Sorry, especially the ones that we discussed who may be affected by the wait time. What that means is for a person who needs a citizenship or a green card renewal, it may take a really, really long time for you to get an appointment when we reopen. So since you can do it now, my advice is do it now. In addition, we're doing consultations, general consultations. So if you want to petition to give somebody a green card, you can still call us. We could still screen you. We could still tell you all of the documents and the forms you're going to need. And I assure you, it is a lot. I mean, a lot of supporting evidence. And it's going to take you a very long time to gather it. So, what we're stressing people to do is to call us, get the consultation, find out what you need, spend this time going through your old boxes, calling friends, family, and cousins, and uncles and siblings who moved, and trying to make sure that you get the documents you need from them, making sure that you have your identity documents, making sure that you look for your old passports, making sure that you gather your trips, making sure that you gather your old taxes, you order it from IRS online if you could do so. I mean, there's a gazillion forms that you're going to need to submit and supporting evidence, and it takes time to gather those. So if you're able to now, the suggestion is that you work on that so that when we reopen, you don't have to spend the time looking for something you could have done now.
Right. Great advice. And Stephanie, before we go, can you just tell us where people can go to find out more information?
On Facebook, we're at Citizenship Now without the CUNY. Either way, you can call 646-664-9400, or you can text 929-334-3784.
Thank you, Stephanie, for all the resources and all the help, and for being here today and joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
If you need immigration resources and more information on CUNY Citizenship Now, please follow them on Instagram at CUNY Citizenship Now. Open BXRx. We'll be right back.